Good afternoon. It's Lynn here from the Learn English Network and welcome to Absolute Beginners. It does what it says on the box. So let me turn screen sharing on. Let me just hide the sharing notification. So I hope everybody is awake. We have got quite a lot to cover today, so I'm going to start pretty much immediately. Whether you're listening in or watching this as a replay, we're going to be looking at daily routines today. Okay, so we're going to bring together some of the vocabulary from previous sessions, a little bit of time, some information about people, and some information about some new terminology. Adverbs of frequency, don't run away. It's only grammar, don't be scared. Adverbs of frequency and information on how we tell people what we do in the day. Okay, our normal routine. Now, I've got a bit of an issue here, so let me just escape from the whole, let me see. Ooh, ooh, ooh. No, it's not good. Okay, so let me go back. Always the way. Okay, let's begin. So you should recognise from previous sessions the idea of the day. Okay, last week we looked at it in more depth, and today we're going to look at it as it belongs in our routine. Now, we don't do the same thing every day. It's not Groundhog Day. But we often do similar things or the same things at the same times of day. Okay? So, for example, your routine may be in the morning, you wake up. Okay, so morning is breaking, morning has broken, and bing, brrr, you wake up. Then during the day, you do things. And often, if you work, you'll do very similar things every day. We call this the daily routine, everything you do between waking up and going to sleep. Okay? So you might wake up in the morning, you go through your daily routine through the day, and at night you go to sleep. And that's what we're going to look at today and in the next few sessions. Okay, so over the next few sessions, we'll look at different times of day and different kinds of routines. Okay, not everyone has the same routine. And the word routine, don't panic about it. The word routine just means those things that you do regularly, the things you do every day or every Saturday, every Monday. You might have a routine. So let's have a look at some questions. Now, questions are always interesting. We like questions, don't we? So we like looking at questions, and as usual, there are different kinds of questions. So, for example, when you're asking people the things they do during the day, you could ask, what time do you wake up? What time do you get up? There's a difference between waking up and getting up. Now, we'll look at these terms in the next couple of slides. To wake up, to get up. What time do you go to work? And remember, what time can also be asked with when. When do you go home? When do you go to bed? Okay. That would tell you something about somebody's daily routine. Of course, there are more questions that you could ask, but they'll get you started. What time do you wake up? What time do you get up? What time do you go to work? When do you go home? When do you go to bed? Okay, now there are ways of asking where somebody might reply, oh, it depends. My favourite answer is it depends. Depends. So what does it depend on? So if something depends on something, it means it's not always as a yes or no. It's not always um, it's not always absolute. Okay, it's not definite. Different things can happen in different situations. Yeah, so it depends on what day it is. It depends on how I feel. Okay? It depends. Great answer. Okay, let's move on. Now, we don't do the same thing every day. Only in the film Groundhog Day do we do the same thing day in, day out. So another question you can ask is, how often do you do something? How often do you practice your English? And then we have some useful words. Now, don't panic, but we call these words adverbs of frequency. Now, they answer the question, how often? Okay? How often? So when you ask what time, somebody looks at a clock. Okay? When you ask how often, we look more along a timeline. Now, 0% is nothing, never ever going to happen. 100% is all the time. So if somebody says to you, or if someone asks you, how often do you practice your English? You might say, always. Do you? Or, I usually practice my English every day. So every day, but not always. Sometimes I don't do any English. So if you ask me, Lynn, how often do you practice your German? I would say I usually practice it every day, but sometimes I don't. Sometimes I forget. But I never go a week without practicing my German. Not a whole week. I rarely get to speak German naturally because I just seem to speak in English all the time. I'm always speaking English. I usually speak English day to day. Not good. So, how often do you do something? And it's a very useful phrase. Okay. Those of you who come to my sessions should be able to answer, how often do I eat pizza on a Tuesday? Well, I always try to eat pizza on a Tuesday, so I usually have pizza on Tuesdays. Now, there are more adverbs of frequency. Some go here, some go here, some go here, some go here, but never, rarely, not often, sometimes, occasionally, usually, most of the time, always, 100%. Okay? And these ones we will cover in future sessions. Okay? These will keep you going for a while, I think. Okay, so remember what time, when, but what time do you usually wake up? Oh, bear with me. Usually, remember? Not always. What time do you always wake up? Well, we're not machines. Sometimes we wake up early, sometimes later. It depends. It depends on whether we have to work that day. So always doesn't really cover what time or how often do you wake up. That wouldn't work. Yeah, I always wake up. Okay, I always wake up. That I could say. What time do you wake up? That would be more, what time do you usually wake up? What time do you usually get up? Again, we'll look at the difference between wake up and get up in a moment. Are you never late? Lynn, your sessions always start on time. Are you never late? Well, yeah, sometimes I'm late, but I'm rarely late. I try to be, remember the word? Punctual. When I say 4 o'clock, I always try to start at 4 o'clock. Okay. Do you sometimes leave work early, Lynn? Sometimes, not often. I rarely leave work early, but yes, sometimes I leave work early. Do you ever go to bed late? Oh, I never go to bed late. I always go to bed on time. Actually, that's not true. Sometimes, but rarely, I go to bed late. It depends. It depends on whether I'm on holiday, but if I'm working, I always go to bed on time. Okay, so remember, always, 100%, a difficult one. Very rare we can say always. Never say never, and rarely say always. Okay, so there's another 2 words we need to know before we can talk about our daily routine. 2 words, before and after. Okay, so have a look at this picture. I'll show you in a moment. Tell me whether it's before or after my cup of tea. Okay, this is me. This is me before my tea. I always have a cup of tea in the morning. Okay, first thing in the morning, I always have my cup of tea. Ah, I love it. I always have a cup of tea when I have a session. That's my teacup. I'm drinking tea now. I'm drinking a cup of tea now. So I always have a cup of tea during a session, and I always have a cup of tea in the morning. I'm British. So what about after? This is me after my tea. Much better. Okay, so before my tea, after my tea. And sometimes before and after are very important. Okay, so do you have a cup of tea in the morning or do you have coffee? Now, I always have coffee in the morning too, but I always have tea before I have coffee. When I wake up, I always have a cup of tea. And later, after I've walked the dog, I always have a cup of coffee. Now, there's 2 things I can say 100%, hand on heart, always. Okay, so let's have a look at Mr. Bean's morning routine. Now, morning. Yeah, that could be 5 a.m. till noon. We call it morning. Remember, it's still night when it's dark. So we might say AM, 2 AM, 3 AM, but I'd still call it night. Morning is when the light arrives, when the sun comes up. That's when my morning starts. Remember? Morning has broken. So, Mr. Bean's morning routine. Well, first thing in the morning, his alarm rings. So his alarm clock goes off. So Mr. Bean wakes up at 6 a.m. Now there's a nice term for you. To wake up. Now don't panic, but to wake up is a phrasal verb. What wakes him up? The alarm clock every morning. So the alarm rings at 6 a.m. He always sets his alarm for 6 a.m. and the alarm wakes him up. The alarm wakes Mr. Bean up at 6 a.m. So to wake up, to wake someone up. Okay, so that's part of that's the start. That's the beginning of Mr. Bean's morning routine, when the alarm wakes him up. Okay, now it's 6:30. He's getting up, but it's 6:30. So Mr. Bean doesn't get up at 6 a.m. Okay, to get up. So we've got to get up, to wake up, and to get up. Two phrasal verbs. To get up means to get out of bed. To wake up means not to be asleep any longer. Okay, so Mr. Bean doesn't get up at 6 a.m. when the alarm goes off, when the alarm rings. He doesn't get up. He gets up at 6:30 a.m. So you can see in the picture, he's stretching, he's getting up. Okay? He gets up 30 minutes after he wakes up. Oh, sorry. We seem to have lost our connection. Oh no. There we go. Now it's back. Okay. So he gets up at 6:30 in the morning. Now, think about the difference of what I'm saying. Here, he's in bed, he's sleeping, and the alarm is ringing. So I think he's probably waking up. Okay. Every day, the alarm rings at 6 a.m. and he wakes up. Here, he's stretching, he's getting up, he's getting out of bed. Every day, he gets up at 6:30. He stretches, he gets out of bed, he gets up at 6:30 every day. Okay, so after he gets up, he goes to the bathroom and he has a shower. Another part of his morning routine. So in the picture, he's having a shower, he's washing his hair. Every morning he has a shower. Every morning he washes his hair. After he gets up. He wouldn't wash his hair before he gets up. That would be silly and wet. Okay. Next, after he has a shower, he has a shave. Okay. Now, here we don't say he shaves himself. A lot of times when I'm running live sessions and we talk about routines, men say, I shave myself. Well, yes, of course you do. You have a shave in the morning. I don't have a shave in the morning. Honestly, I don't. But Mr. Bean, he's clean shaven. He has a shave every morning. There he is looking in the mirror with his razor and the shaving foam, and he's having a shave. Okay? So he has a shave after he has a shower. He doesn't have a shave before the shower. Okay? He doesn't have a shower after he has a shave. So after he has a shower, he has a shave. Okay. After he's had a shower and a shave, he has breakfast. Now, if we look at the clock, we can see Mr. Bean eats breakfast at 7 o'clock. Okay, here he is. He's sitting at the breakfast table eating his breakfast. That's what he's doing in the picture. It is 7 o'clock. He's having breakfast. But every morning he has breakfast at 7 o'clock. Now, you can also say he eats breakfast at 7 o'clock in the morning, or he eats breakfast at 7 a.m. Okay? What does he do after breakfast? What do you do after breakfast? Any idea? Well, after he has his breakfast, he gets dressed. To get dressed. Yeah, so here he is getting dressed. So after breakfast, he gets dressed. There's another, what did we call them? Phrasal verb, yes. To get dressed. And again, we don't say, we don't say, I dress myself. Yeah? Unless we're 3. I dressed myself this morning, mummy. No. So we've got to wake up, to get up, to get dressed. They're all phrasal verbs. Okay? So after breakfast, Mr. Bean gets dressed. He gets dressed. Here he is in the picture getting dressed. You can also say he gets ready for work. Now, let's look at how this changes depending on who you're talking about. So I get ready for work. He gets ready for work. Also, she gets ready for work. And then we, you, plural and singular, they get ready for work. So I and you, singular, get ready for work. He, she gets ready for work. We, you, they get ready for work. Just he and she, and then there's this S for the to get ready. To get ready for something. So I'm getting ready for the next slide. But in the morning routine, he gets ready for work after breakfast. Okay? And then, after he gets dressed, he leaves the house. So, after he gets dressed, he leaves the house. Always after he gets dressed. Think about it. Before he gets dressed, he leaves the house. He'd be arrested. You can't leave the house naked. It's not allowed. So after he gets dressed, after he gets ready for work, he leaves the house. And he always takes his briefcase to work. Okay, so he always has his briefcase with him when he leaves the house. Here he is, leaving the house, carrying his briefcase. Okay. Now, how do you think he goes to work? How? In what manner? So, how does Mr. Bean get to work? Any ideas? How does he get to work? In what manner? Does he walk to work? Does he take the bus to work? What's his usual routine to get to work? What do you think? No? No idea? Okay. He drives to work. Okay? So, he always drives to work. He never walks to work. It's too far. So, he drives to work. He always drives to work. Now, again, a lot of people will say to me, I drive my car to work. But you don't need to say my car. I drive to work. I will know you mean your car. Okay? So, how do you get to work? How do you usually get to work? I drive. I drive to work, or just I drive. And again, in the same way, we change these verb to get, ready. Okay, you drive to work. He, she, it drives to work. And we, you, they drive to work. Okay. So I don't drive to work. Oh, okay. I work from home. So I walk to work. I walk from the lounge to the office. Takes me 1 minute, 30 seconds maybe. So I always walk to work. Now, this is a good sentence to practice your pronunciation. Listen to what I'm saying. I always walk to work. So you've got walk and work. Okay, so practice that. Record yourself. Listen to the recording. I walk to work. But Mr. Bean doesn't walk to work. He drives to work. He always drives to work. He rarely takes a bus. Now, when you're talking to other people, you might want to ask them more questions about their routine. So let's have a look. Remember our 4 famous people? Rowan Atkinson, the real Mr. Bean. Enrique Iglesias, Oprah Winfrey, Angela Merkel, Angela. Do we know their daily routine? Not really. We'd have to ask. So what questions would you ask? What question would you ask Rowan Atkinson to find out what time he gets up? What time does he get up? But you're asking him. Okay, so what would you ask him? When do you usually get up? Yeah? When do you get up? What time do you get up? When do you usually get up? What about Enrique Iglesias? When does he have a shower? Do you have a shower in the morning or in the evening? I prefer having a shower in the morning. So, when do you have a shower? In the morning or in the evening? Or do you have a shower in the morning or in the evening? Oprah Winfrey, clever lady, likes to study. When does she have time to study? She's busy. When does she have time to study? What question could you ask her? Well, do you have time to study? You could also ask her, when do you have time to study? And Angela Merkel, I wonder what time she gets up. Does she have an alarm? Or do you think somebody, wakey wakey, somebody wakes her up? What time does she start work? What time does she go to work? How could you ask her? What time do you usually go to work? Remember what time? You can also ask when. When do you usually go to work, Mrs. Merkel? Frau Merkel. Okay. So, what about me? How often do I teach English? Okay. How often do I teach English? Do you know? Well, the truth is, I teach English every day. Unless I'm on holiday, I teach English every day. Wow. I must like it, mustn't I? Okay, so I hope that's not too much for you. I like to take absolute beginners very slowly. So I hope you followed me. Remember, you can watch the recording on YouTube, and you can ask me to repeat a lesson in the forum if you wish to attend and to actually speak as well. Just ask. Join the forum and ask. But always tell me which lesson you want to have repeated. Okay, we can always do that. Okay, and just to confirm, just to tell you again, these images in these slides, they are licensed. Now, a couple are from Wikipedia. Mr. Bean, Mrs. Merkel and co are from Wikipedia. All the other ones are from Adobe or Animation Factory. They are licensed to the Learn English Network to use, but you can't use them, I'm sorry to say. So please refrain, don't get yourself into trouble by using the images, okay? And if you want to use the slides, if you would like to use the slides we've used or I've used, contact me and we can talk about it. But they're not on offer for free because of copyright. Copyright. Now, if you want to know more, if this was too slow, go to the lesson 11 on learnenglishonline.org. Okay, that's learn-english-online.org. Don't go to the wrong one. And lesson 11 will give you more information on Mr. Bean's daily routine. And if you want to know more about the extra adverbs of frequency, go to the grammar pages on learnenglish.de. And if you look under grammar, adverbs of frequency, I'll put the link in chat, okay? Oh, can I highlight it? Oh, it's not letting me, hang on. So let me go out of presenter view. I'll take this over to here and I'll give you the links. Okay, okay, so there's the two links. And the lessons are always very low level, very easy, but what you'll be able to do if you go to the lesson is you'll be able to practice what you've learnt. Remember, for every lesson, we do have the chance for you to practice what you have learnt. So if we go to lesson 11, and then if you scroll down to the bottom, here you can practice what you have learnt. Okay? And you will get Gemma or myself correcting what you write. Okay? Oh, somebody called Jazz. But so if you notice here, Tia has written about her morning routine and Gemma has corrected it. Okay? Tia, you do start your day early. Ouch. Okay. So I hope you enjoyed today's session. Thank you for coming, and I'll stop. Okay, and remember, if you go to the forum and tell me you're coming, I can send you a personal invitation to come and speak. Otherwise, this is more of a presentation. I have tried to invite people to come and speak in other sessions, and it doesn't really work. So if you're a member of the forum, contact me in the Absolute Beginners group. Tell me you would like to join me for the session, the whole session, and I will send you a special invitation that will bring you into the room to talk. Okay, so I'm not inviting people in. Sorry if you raised your hand, but I'm not inviting people in to talk without knowing who they are first and getting them into the room before the session starts. Otherwise, we end up overrunning and the video is too long for a beginner. So thank you for coming, taking part, and I will see you in the next session. Take care. Bye bye.